Sounds so evil. Okay. Vern, eyes on the road. Okay. So.
Oh!
All right, so guys, tonight we're doing, I'm recording this for the few people who can't make it on, but tonight's going to be really great. It's going to be rapid fire of great info. And just so you know, what's going to happen is we're going to have Seth give an overview. All right, Vern, we can see your road. Seth is going to give an overview of his book, or not his book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad that he read on building wealth and just thinking differently. And then Sydney is going to give some tips. Basically, this is a call on going big over Thanksgiving weekend and the next 2 weeks. And what is that going to do for you in your future and how important these next 2 weeks are? Because some of you are going to be busy. Many of you are not. And some of you have some plans for Thanksgiving and some of you are completely off. So you really want to take advantage of these next 2 weeks, whether you have past customers or not. So I called in the big guns, some of the veterans on the team, to give some thoughts and some tips on how to maximize the demos you are doing over Thanksgiving, while also giving you some tips and some mentality shifts of how to go big. Now, some of you may have doubts or uncertainties of how well you could do, but I'm telling you, this is an amazing season to take advantage of. Thanksgiving week is amazing to take advantage of, and especially the next couple months with everyone's moods and a lot of other reasons why it's great to sell at this time. So anyway, because of some people's class schedules yet, I'm going to kick things off with Seth. And Seth, to intro Seth here, Seth has been really, really consistent in growing. I love that he's been reading books. I love that he's been doing his thing around fraternities and fun and classes at Oshkosh. So Seth read the second book in our series for the book series of Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. I don't know how many of you have read that before, but it is really, really good for shifting your mentality to a rich dad. So I don't want to take much away from Seth, but thank you, Seth, for an overview. We appreciate it, and go ahead and take it away.
All right. Can you guys hear me if I put you in a solo cup here? Yeah. All right. Good stuff. All right. I apologize in advance because I spilled some honey on my notebook, so it's a little runny, but we'll get through it. We'll rock and roll. But yeah, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So it's about two different dads that he kind of had. So one being the rich dad, which was like his friend's dad, and his dad, which was the poor dad, right? So basically throughout the book, it's the rich dad giving insights on how to save money, how to make money, and how to translate into or transcend into a rich dad mindset. So to kick things off, here's some big ideas. So the poor and the middle class work for money while the rich have money work for them. So basically it tells us to take risks. And so most middle class would rather stay in a stable salary job where it's safe and comfortable instead of taking risks like rich people do. And it's because they just can't let opportunities pass them by. So in Cutco, we have opportunities every single day, and the rich dad would tell us not to ignore them. So another big takeaway would probably be financial literacy. So one of the most important lessons from of financial literacy would probably be knowing the difference between assets and liabilities. So an asset is basically something that a company owns and can potentially make you money or liquidate really fast. And a liability would be something that would essentially cost you money or something a third party owns. So assets are important because they'll be like your main source of liquidity, like I said, and liabilities are essentially equity. So for example, when a person says they're going to buy a house, the house would be considered his asset. However, like the mortgage for the house would become his liability, right? So yeah, and then next we got mind your business. So basically no more keeping up with the Joneses. Like I always hear Gary Vaynerchuk say, it's like especially relevant today where you see everybody walking around Supreme stuff and whatnot. Basically, if you don't absolutely need it, you probably shouldn't buy it. So, and then you could probably allocate that money into more assets that'll eventually make your money, like bonds and stocks and mutual funds. So that's pretty neat stuff. So next topic is the rich invent money. So everyone is basically born with a talent, and don't be afraid or self-doubting to try and make money from this talent that God gave you, and work to learn. So another thing that I also hear Gary Vaynerchuk saying that the author to Rich Dad Poor Dad said was kind of like gain information so you know like how to perfect your business, and then the money will come eventually down the road, right? And then overcoming obstacles. So just like anything in life, coming out of severe adversity will actually grow you, or help you grow and learn from that. I've learned that a ton in Vector. And getting started. So a big thing that he wrote about was find the why. And that's another thing we talk about in Vector to help propel you and help get you ready or find the real reason why you're working to get money, whether it's friends, family, somebody told you can't do it. You got to find the why. It's super important. And choose your friends carefully. So don't hang around people who aren't so much motivated, who are going to steer you from path of success in your business to something that's not as good or not as beneficial. And then continue learning. And the more you learn, the basically essentially the more money you'll get down the road. So some budgeting tips. Any surplus money you have should be allocated to creating assets. So after the bills are taken care of, put money into your savings, investings, or even charity. Look at your expenses. Keep track of your expenses for a week, a month. Cut out or reduce unnecessary spending. So like potato chips, liquor, etc. And then a bulldog tip I'll slide in here is something I saw on Instagram that I kind of carry with myself is if I kind of want, like I'm a guilty impulse buyer. I'm terrible at that stuff. And I always kind of think to myself, like, although I want it now, I'll wait 20 minutes. And if I still want it, I'll go and get it. But that helps with impulse buying. And then if you see something you like, you want, I've said that. Then have assets pay for your liabilities. So like I said, stocks, dividends, rental income, etc. And my last tip on money and Rich Dad Poor Dad would probably spend money to get money. So don't be afraid to spend money on assets. They in turn will always increase your income in the future. And that's like my brief overview of Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to read that? Yeah. Nice job, Seth. Thank you. How long did it take you to read that book?
There was definitely times where I wasn't reading it. So you could probably burn this book out in a week. It's not too long.
Yep.
But yeah, it took me like a couple.
Yeah. Was it worth it?
100%. 100%.
Okay. So would you recommend anyone who's not read it to read it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And what's great, why I had Seth, this worked out perfectly, is that you guys are about to hear from how to make a ton of money. That's great, but not if you don't know how to utilize it or save it. It doesn't make sense to make all this money just to buy more potato chips and liquor, right? So like Seth mentioned. So you want to make sure you are earning the money and then using it wisely. Does anyone have any questions for Seth?
How did you learn about Rich Dad Poor Dad? Like, where did you hear about it? Because I've read it before, but like I'm just curious to see. Because like I was at a leadership academy, which is where I heard of it. But like, how did you hear about it?
Yeah, Jason told me about it. Yeah.
Jason.
It's a vector book kind of, Hallie. So that's great. So it's more, we promote a lot of great books that learn and grow from. So that's awesome. Yes, those are great books, and I have a ton of recommendations that either I've read or that other vector managers have read. Yeah. So that's how.
All right.
Anyone have a couple other big takeaways from what Seth shared? Like something you need to work on or a really cool realization? Raya.
I need to work on impulse spending.
Impulse spending.
I like what you said where, like, if you want it 20 minutes later, then you'll go back and get it, but you don't get it right then and there. That's a good one.
The bulldog tip. Yeah.
Bulldog tip.
Bulldog.
Yep.
Thanks, Seth.
Number one.
Poor dad, bulldog dad. Coming soon.
Not yet.
2020.
I have a question.
Okay. Go, Vern.
So, Seth, what are some action steps that you would recommend or that you plan on taking, over Thanksgiving and winter break so that you become, this version of the rich dad versus the poor dad?
So tip number one that I'm probably going to utilize is definitely saving more money, and taking keeping track of my expenses, incoming and outgoing. That can help me visualize and see like what I don't need to spend money on and what I can allocate towards savings, or whether that be school or putting it into I forgot the name, vector savings.
Yes, your startup.
Yep, startup.
Holding. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And then definitely something I want to learn more about is probably stocks and mutual funds and things like that. My buddy works for Northwestern Mutual, so I can always have good talks with him on that. But yeah, stocks is something I always wanted to get into. I'm always crazy about Mad Money. I don't know if you guys know that show. Never mind. All right.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you, Seth. We appreciate it. Any more questions or tips? Tips.
Yeah, quick tip with the expenses. I know something that Jason and I do. We put all of our expenses in our Google Calendar.
Yep.
So
red.
Very helpful.
So you know when it comes out. Yep. But then red, then I like to put payday, or when paydays are coming, that's in green. So I know what's coming. So I'd say go through all your expenses. Josh just re-downloaded mint.com today. That was great. Just be aware. Half the battle is just being aware. So knowing things
I think another great book for you would be The Millionaire Next Door, or
she knows.
Jeez.
She knows all the books.
Yep, that's a great one.
Yep.
Yeah, I know The Millionaire Next Door, and then it's 5 Keys. Crap, I can't think of the title now. It goes really into detail on that. Otherwise, The Richest Man in Babylon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Seth likes that one.
Yep.
I really like that one. You would enjoy all of those books.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's good book
Definitely give them a
recommendations.
try.
Feel free to share them in the group me. So
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Love it. You guys are great. That's awesome. Awesome, Hallie. Great recommendations. All right. So next up, so thank you, Seth. Next up, we have Sydney Thurn, who's giving some tips on how to maximize Thanksgiving and winter break. The reason why I'm asking Sydney for a few tips for you guys, whether you're on the live call or the recording, is because Sydney crushed her first summer and then went to school and then came back for Thanksgiving break and winter break to make a lot of money over Thanksgiving. I think you sold like $3 or $4 grand over Thanksgiving, right? Something like that, Sydney. Yep. And then sold another 10K plus over January for the Cabo push, or the Jamaica push, for the trip of her life. So one of them, she goes on many trips. But thank you, Sydney, for your tips here, as you're over 50 grand in sales. You definitely took advantage of the holiday season just last year. So I want you guys to get some tips as well on this. So Sydney, give us some tips.
Okay, so you probably heard a lot of these tips before from Jason. And if you haven't, then Jason, you're not doing a very good job. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so one thing first right away I want to say is that I really started taking goal setting seriously like last Thanksgiving break. So I always sold. I was always making big sales, had good customers, but I never really tied them into my goals, and I never really set goals with Jason, and we would say these are how many demos I have to do, but it was like personal goals and goals with my friends, and having accountability buddies to keep me accountable for those goals. So first of all, if you guys don't have a goal sheet in your blue book, I made a thermometer for the Jamaica push. It was like a martini glass, and I had it, every time I made a sale, the person would color it in and then they would sign their name. So I would say if you don't already have one of those, you need to be bringing that out on every demo, because so many people just, once they feel like they're tied into your goals, they're going to be that much more apt to help you, even if it's just a small sale. But what you'll come to find out is that those sales are not going to be small, because if those people are investing themselves in, in you and your goals, they're going to also be buying Cutco. Off of that, so another thing is, I kind of touched on it, is having an accountability buddy. So I became really good friends with two guys that Alex Volkowski, a lot of you guys know him, and then Dustin Johnson. And just having them either we text every single day, we still do, even though I'm not actively selling right now, and Alex doesn't either, but we literally text each other every single day, whether it's influential quote, whether it's how are you doing on your goals, whether it's when's the last time you worked out, it's just having somebody as a crutch to kind of keep you in check, because it's so easy, especially if you live by yourself, or if you live with friends and they're going out and having fun, it's so easy to just fall into that downward spiral of, oh, my goals don't matter. You can set all the goals you want, but if you're not holding yourself accountable, they don't mean anything. And having somebody else physically, if it's Jason, I volunteer myself to be anybody's accountability buddy if they need one, but just having somebody there to keep you in line and just make sure that you're making your calls. If you have a goal that, okay, every day I want to wake up at 9 a.m. and I want to make 50 calls, text somebody that's your goal, and have them call you at 8:50 and make sure you're awake, and don't make sure that they're tied in with your goals, so that they can actually hold you accountable to them. And then, for Thanksgiving break and winter break, I sold to a lot of, because I was coming back after being away for a while, so I sold to a lot of people that I had already sold to, and had reached out to me. But I also called a lot of people that I was scared to call in the beginning, because then I had a little bit of confidence, and even if you're a little bit newer, you still have people that you haven't called because you've been scared to call them. So just call them. They're, if they say no, then it's their loss. They're missing out on a great product, and chances are in the future, they're going to be calling you, wanting you to come over, because everybody that they know is already going to own Cutco. And then just last thing really quick is just make sure you're asking your customers engaging questions. So I think a lot of times, if you stick to the manual and you ask the basic questions, you can fall into the trap of just being super monotone and mundane with your demo. But know who your customers are. If your customer doesn't cook but loves to give gifts, if their spouse does all the cooking, but that they love to give gifts, well, engage them in those types of questions, oh, who do you need to buy gifts for this holiday season? Or, gosh, I hate, holiday shopping. It's so crazy out there. It would be so nice if you could just get your holiday shopping done here. Or, if that person is the cook, if it's, a grandma or, the aunt or uncle that always hosts all the holidays, that they cook. Ask them, what are you guys cooking for Thanksgiving this year? What do you what do you guys do for Christmas, Hanukkah, New Year's? So just asking engaging questions, because that was a big thing for me that I think I got really good at over Christmas and Thanksgiving break, and it just really takes your demo to the next level. So that's all that I have.
Awesome. Woo! Thank you, Sydney. All right, that's great. And that's real exciting. It really is, because you did, your average order was huge. The income you earned off selling like probably 15 grand when you were back for those couple weeks for Jamaica and that 1 week for Thanksgiving. At 45%, and you made about 7 grand in like 3 weeks of selling, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any questions for Sydney? She talked about the goal thermometer, which is huge. Talked about accountability buddy. We all need that in many areas of life. About stop being a chicken, call your chicken list, and then asking engaging questions. So anyone have any questions for Sydney?
Are we going to see you in Cabo?
I don't know.
Oh!
So for those of you that don't know, I do have a full-time job right now as a sales rep at Exact Sciences in Madison. So I have been pretty busy with that, but Jason has been sliding me the emails and the texts, so I'm thinking about it. But
for you, it's like 10 demos. Just do 10 demos, sell 10 grand.
I'll just
Go on
call
the trip with us.
my aunts and uncles up, and it'll be a day.
Perfect. All right.
Yeah, we'll see.
Love it. Well, thanks, Sydney. Thank you very much. All right. Next up, Mr. Lake. And then we'll have Vern bring us home here. So, Lake, I think you might be driving, so careful.
Yep.
So, Lake, pretty much all of you on here know Lake, or who will be seeing this recording, know Lake. But he's, again, super talented as well in the sales field. Had, again, 11K fast start, just like Sydney, over spring break. And so he sold a lot there. He's also sold a ton in pushes. And he's really taken advantage of, while being a student, over his holiday breaks. And so now running a really great office right now, number 11 in the nation as a new district manager, and really being efficient with when he follows up with demos over the holidays. I thought he'd have some really, really good insight to share for you guys, who this might be your first time selling over Thanksgiving and Christmas time. But it really, really is easy. So I asked him to share a few thoughts and tips. So go ahead, Lake, and take it away.
For sure. So just to start off, I want to steal a little bit from what Vern taught me quite a long time ago, because I know like Seth and Mariah, some of the people on the call that are up there, past, 30, 40, 50K in career sales. When you're following up with people for sharpening, you've been in the business for a while. So I would just call them up for service calls, and it's always service first. So Vernon calls it the servant mindset. And I would say that's just really important, because, if you follow us, if you have the service first, then everything else will follow. The gifts will follow, the upgrades, things like that. So when you're following up with customers in this next week or two, it's really important for you to just focus on the service aspect of it. And then you're not reaching out to your customers just for a paycheck. You're reaching out to service them and help them get anything else they want. So what I would say is follow the script. There's a super easy script. Get that email sent out, text, and then follow up with the call. That's all pretty self-explanatory. I would say the biggest thing when you're following up with customers too is have a script. So be a real person, have a conversation with them, but also have a script, and it'll really help you guide the conversation to where you want it to go. So you can either set up those service calls or just follow up with a gift order or something like that. So I would say reach out to build relationships and to serve your customers, because that forever guarantee also includes you, not just Cutco. So that's the first thing when you're reaching out to customers. And then that urgency is really important as well. So being able to close in this time of year, it's really important, because they'll say, oh, well, I still have like about a month until Christmas, so we'll see. I'll weigh my options, and then so it's really important to create urgencies when you're on the phone or you're doing service calls with people. So just like you would in a normal demo for you guys that are pretty new. Yeah, I would just say creating that urgency, saying things like, if I could give you a super crazy, ridiculous deal, would you say yes or no right now? Just small things that, if you guys want more of those to create urgency, it's really easy. I think what Sydney said about, goal thermometer, it's so easy to close when you have a goal, whatever it is. Like for Jamaica, all your customers during that push in January are going to be super, super excited to just help you out, whether it's like $300 or $400 sale. It doesn't necessarily have to be a monster sale. But those urgency things, and then also having the goals, make sure you have a me page, and then your goal thermometer is super important too. Just everything that you can use as ammunition to get that quick close is really, really important. And then what I would say, lastly, for you guys that are new, basically you're just going to be doing demos, you're not going to be doing many service calls, is you really just want to focus on areas of improvement, whether it's you're not getting a lot of referrals or you're not closing big sales, whatever it is. Like, there's so many resources. There's entire playlists on YouTube for you to look up. There's really no excuse for you not to get really good really fast. The best people are proactive and are really looking to learn and hone those skills. If you really want to be a game changer, you gotta work hard, and you have to go on YouTube at those playlists. You gotta have peelers. You gotta follow up with your demos. We had some people over the summer and their pushes cancel demos out of nowhere. It's just, you really have to stand up for people, especially when you book demos at that point. So what I would say is just
All right. Thank you, Lake. To review some of that here before we ask Lake some questions. Servant mindset, right? And thank you, Vern, for having such a ripple effect on our division and on our region. But that's huge. And taking it off self on purpose. Right, I learned this a while ago through another vector manager, that when you take your mind off of yourself, your worry, your doubt, your uncertainty, and it's on purpose. I'm here to give this customer a great product. The purpose is to make Mrs. Jones' day, make Christmas shopping easier, and make sure that I'm doing them a favor and getting what they want most. And you take all the pressure off you. You know they're going to love Cutco, so stop worrying about it. And this is why, for people who are stressed financially, don't do as well, typically, because they're going, oh my gosh, I need a sale. Please, I need one, as opposed to going, hey, what can I help you with? So remember to take your demo off yourself and on the purpose of presenting an awesome product. Second, you talked about creating urgency. You guys, just so you know, with urgency right now, you can create the urgency that shipping could take 4 weeks. There was like 4 or 5 years ago where we were backed up on shipping because people were ordering so much Cutco and they didn't have as much in stock. Now, that isn't the case now, but it's been the case at moments in the past that it took like 4 or 5 weeks to get Cutco, especially during the holiday season. So right now, going, hey, Christmas is in 4 or 5 weeks. That urgency is right now, Mrs. Jones. How many do you want for gifts? And I know you want to I know you want to think it over, but what other gift are you going to get your aunt, your sister, or your husband, or whoever that they're going to use every day for the rest of their life? Just makes sense, right? Okay, well, shipping could take 4 to 5 weeks. Typically, it's within a couple, but just to be safe, you should order it today because I can give you this great deal, and you get it by Christmas. So what do you think? You have 15 days to try it out, right? So being able to create that urgency is huge. The goals page is big. Focusing on improving daily. One of our mottos here in our division is to choose growth. If you want to take advantage of learning and growing and getting better. If not, there's plenty of other jobs out there that'll pay you the $8 an hour that most people are worth for staying the same. And, you know, I don't want to say that in the wrong way, just letting you know, you have so much potential, each and every one of you, because you're choosing success by listening to this or being here now, that you can be worth $1,000 a week. You can be worth that. It's up to you. There's plenty of people doing it. You just have to learn from them. Yeah, we have plenty of that. And then also peelers are great too. If you want to stock up on peelers right now, they're like $6 each. You can get them for recommendations and incentives. A lot of top people stock up on those. So thank you, Lake. Anyone have any questions for Lake? Okay. Thank you, sir. Drive safe. And then to bring us home, Vern. Vern dog. Okay. So Vernon, again, another person that doesn't need really an introduction, but you know, Vern is arguably one of the best, arguably the best demo and service call rep in the region. All right. He's one of the top CSPs. A couple of people who are ahead of him focus mainly on shows, but he is killing the game of all of it. Business gifts, fairs and shows, service calls, and demos. And I love hearing people who I know or I'm connected to through church or other community groups that they saw a demo from Vern. Because I know they had an amazing time. And he really has a blast with them. And Robbie just got a chance to see him do a demo. Mariah just saw a demo today. Saw this lady get 4 pieces because it was in her best interest, even though she was set on one item, something like that. But yeah, Vern has been through many holiday seasons. He has won many company trips. I think your first company trip, Vern, was a January incentive trip like this coming up.
Yeah, it was Cabo, exactly.
Yeah, or sombrero, and every demo was super cool. So I'm excited to get some tips here for the team on how to really maximize this holiday season on the demos and also just prepping for it. So Vern almost approaching Hall of Fame and getting that rollie this year. So congrats, Vern, and give us some goods.
Cool. So one of the things I always talk about, you know, before going into any kind of push period is you got to think of your why, like the Bulldog said earlier. You know, what is your why? And even think beyond Cabo. You know, what would that mean for your financial situation for you to sell, you know, 10 grand in a couple weeks, or even over Thanksgiving for you to sell a few grand, like in 1 week? Like, what would that do? Like, you realize, I just learned this from my financial coach, where he said, you know, we're all blessed because 85% of Americans, they cannot change how much they make. So if they want to like make and keep more money, they have to cut expenses. Where with us, the 50% of the U.S. are entrepreneurs. So the other 15%, and we are part of that 15%, we actually have the unique gift and ability to create more money. So I just want you to realize your entire financial situation can literally change in 1 week. Okay? Some of you will be excited to have your first $1,000 paycheck. Let me tell you what's more exciting about that. A $10,000 paycheck. That was me last year. My first $10,000 paycheck. And, you know, that's obviously not easy to get. And I don't say that to brag whatsoever. But I'm just letting you know that the only person that's stopping you from achieving like financial success like that is you. I don't care if you just started this weekend. Who's telling you that you can't go out and have a 10K week over Thanksgiving week? You know, I think that a lot of people, including myself, allow their limiting abilities dictate their potential. And they think, oh, I'm just brand new in the business. There's no way that I can actually sell a few grand in a week. You know, I look at students, you know, who are selling Cutco, and they're trying to, like, you know, run their business. They're trying to, like, get PRs or, you know, prepare for a branch office. And I tell them to their face, like, you guys are being a bunch of hypocrites. You're trying to tell your friends that you can make so much money around school, but you're not making any money around school. So, you know, this particularly doesn't have to do with holiday selling, but it has to do with selling just this part in general. Seth, you know, just told you, you need to surround yourself with good people. A lot of you go to school where there are other Cutco people. So here's what I challenge you. The next time that you can sign up for like a dorm, reach out to a Cutco person and have them be your roommate. Or when you have the opportunity to like live off campus, why don't you get 3 or 4 roommates that all sell Cutco? That's what I would do. That's what I did. Three out of my 4 roommates sold Cutco, and the other fourth was a PR of mine, actually. So literally all of us sold Cutco. So it's pretty easy, as Sydney mentioned, to have accountability buddies when you're literally surrounded by Cutco people who are either selling and or building their offices at the same time as you are. So that's the first thing. So going back to holiday selling, just think about what that could really do for you beyond just that week. Okay. So some things that'll help is creating that urgency, as Lake and Jason talked about, of, hey, you know, the holidays are coming up. You know, if you're talking about sharpening your knives, it's like, hello, Thanksgiving is like a week from today or tomorrow. So why don't I come over and sharpen up your knives for free and show you some cool specials, right? Or if you're trying to get demos, like, hey, Mr. Jones, I totally get that you're busy. I totally get it. I'm completely busy too, but I am on a mission to complete 10 appointments by whatever it is. Okay? And think of Thanksgiving. Think of your family. When do people actually eat Thanksgiving dinner? Like in the afternoon or evening? So that means in the morning, they're probably not doing a whole lot. So why can't you get in an 8 a.m., 9 a.m. demo or make 100 calls between 8 a.m. and 12 p.m. when people are either, you know, getting ready or preparing on Thanksgiving Day? What I would do as well this Saturday and Sunday is I would make at least 100 calls to completely fill up your week. And you're going to have to like marry that line of, hey, I totally get it's Thanksgiving week. You know, I totally get that you're probably super busy, and I'm super busy too. But I am on a mission to complete 20 appointments next week, or my assignment for Thanksgiving break for my internship is to complete 20 appointments next week. So if you could just squeeze me in for even like 20, 30 minutes, I promise it'll be the highlight of your day. And if you don't like what I have to say, you don't like what you know, you're not enjoying, you know, what I'm showing you within the first 15 minutes, you can get out your sharpest carving set that's probably not Cutco, and you can carve me right out the door. Okay? Or tell your husband he can get his biggest pair of hunting boots, or your biggest pair of hunting boots, and kick me right out the door. Okay? That's the second thing I would do. The other thing I would do on Thanksgiving, bring your knives. One of my first Thanksgivings of like selling Cutco, my dad carved the turkey at my cousin's house with the carving set, and he was selling Cutco for me. And then my cousin, who like at the time just bought like a smaller set of Cutco, she literally sat me down and said, okay, show me what you got. Show me what else you got. And she upgraded to like the signature set on Thanksgiving. When I was running an office in Racine, one of my top reps sold a signature set to like his uncle on Thanksgiving. Like, what a perfect way to show off your table knives and your steak knives and your carving sets and your Cutco flatware, or you're going to have a bunch of family there. Like, that's the perfect way to like subliminally show off your Cutco. Like, hey, do you guys actually want some good knives to like carve this turkey? Do you guys actually want like a great like, you know, kitchen tool set to like serve these mashed potatoes and mac and cheese and all that? Here, let me cut this pie for you with this awesome spatula spreader or this slice and serve, right? Like, hello, that would be pretty awesome. So that's what I would do for holiday selling. As far as holiday selling and going for Cabo, you know, the goal page is amazing for sure. And you saw me put in a group me that like, I literally wore that sombrero on every single demo during the push. It was so awesome. Them like customers opening up their door and seeing a black man wearing a sombrero. It was the most confusing thing in the world for them. They're like, what in the world? I think this guy is confused. But it was amazing. And we had a ton of fun. So dress the part. Like, how dope would it be if like in the middle of winter, if you showed up in like a tank top and like swim trunks and flip-flops and a sombrero, right? Because you're like, Mr. Jones, I understand that it's like 30 degrees out, but my vision of being on a beach where it's 80 degrees right now literally fires me up so much that my body is sweating. How amazing would that be? Your customers be like, holy crap, please take me with you. All right. One of the last things that I'll say is you need to create a vision, not just a goal, but a vision. Okay. So you need to paint this picture for your customers and tell them like, here's why it's so important for me to be in Cabo. For me, it was just amazing that I would be able to have my first time out of the country, and it wasn't for, you know, the typical family vacation. My family could never afford a family vacation like that. So it was the fact that because I worked my butt off for 2 weeks, I was able to pay to have my first trip out of the country, and just to have that experience, right? And what that like truly means for you, and for everybody, it could be different. It's like, hey, it's one of my dreams to travel the world, and this is an opportunity where I am able to do that, right? So where I love to share goals is not necessarily in the beginning, which I know that's what the manual teaches. For me specifically, it kind of depends. So when someone asks me like how long I've been selling Cutco, then that's when I share them my story, and I go into like my vision and my goals that I have. The other place that I'll do it where it's helped me out a ton in the past is when I'm closing. So, you know, I remember one of my service calls, we made a big wish list. And for those of you that have known me, I do what's called package closing. Won't go into it right now. But package 1 was a Cutco kitchen upgrade. Package 2 was like the knives and flatware, and package 3 I think was just the upgrade. And she didn't know which one she wanted to go for. So I said, hey, do you mind if I share something with you that I'm really passionate about? And she said, sure. So I told her my goals. I told her my vision. So I said, because knowing this, and it seems like you're open to getting package 1, if I did something a little extra special for you, would you maybe go for it? And she's like, sure, what do you got? So I sweeten up the deal, and she spends $6,000 with me on a Cutco kitchen upgrade. And she loves it. So just the power of sharing your vision gets, as Sydney said, tied into your goals. So the reason why sometimes I like to share it at the end versus the beginning is because, you know, all of our appointments are basically at least an hour or so. So by the time you get to the close, it's been like 45 minutes since you shared with him your goal. You can tell him like, yeah, I'm working hard, you know, to get my trip to Cabo or whatever in the beginning. But you can really go more into it and give a heartfelt like vision sharing experience with like closing a bigger sale, right? So that has helped a lot. And you know, just how Jason said, like asking them those questions of like, hey, well, what else could you get for just a few $100 a month that one is American made, you're going to use every single day for the rest of your life. You can pass it on to your kids and grandkids and literally never have to pay for it again. What other gift can you give that literally 60 years from now, your kids will still be using and remember you for getting it for them? And they'll be using it every single day. To me, that trumps just about almost any gift that you could give them, right? So those are some of the tips that I have. You know, create that vision. What is your story with selling Cutco? You know, why is it so important for you? Why are you going big over Thanksgiving break? When it comes to Cabo, why is that so important to you? And just work on that story. Like if that's the one thing that you get, that'll help with creating urgency and everything. And when you're following up with your customers, if you are doing that, like for holiday selling, then tell them that, you know, tell them what you're going for. Say like, hey, you know, I totally get you want to wait. Before I let you go, do you mind if I share something with you that I'm really passionate about? Tell them your story and say, so because we're on the phone, you feel like you're going to get this eventually anyway, and I'm working hard towards this thing. If I just did something a little extra special for you, would you possibly maybe go for it right now? And 9 times out of 10, they're like, sure, what do you got? And then you close, you know, throw in something else, maybe, you know, bonus a couple table knives, whatever you got to do. Okay. So that would be what I got for now.
Awesome. Thank you, Vern. Okay. Wow. That's great. All right. So with some questions for Vern, he posed some really good thoughts on having a why and a vision and how it all ties in. Okay. And, you know, you may have heard before that when there's hope in the future, there's power in the present. Okay. So have that hope, have that excitement for the future. And then it helps you overcome some fear now. How about making 100 calls on a Saturday or Sunday or one day? When's the last time you made 100 calls in one day? Okay. Well, that's an option, right? Saying, hey, my assignment is to complete 20 demos next week. Right? That's huge because that gives it a feel of they're helping you out as well for doing a demo. Right? Bring your knives to Thanksgiving events. Every single event where there's food, you should bring your knives. Even obnoxiously bring them. You know, you put them out, have Uncle John carve the turkey. You can even like bring your table knife to Thanksgiving potluck and hang out and just carve it so dramatically and so slow at your spot and like be obnoxious about it. Like, whoa, did you guys see that? Wow, this is so easy to cut my turkey over here with my Cutco table knife. Whoa, look at that. So whatever you got to do to make it fun, right? I was trying to search for a picture, Vern, of you in a sombrero, but I can't find it. Check GroupMe. Yeah, I was trying to look so I could share the screen, but I loved it. I loved hearing about that every demo. Right now, since you guys aren't in a push, you can wear some fun stuff like a Christmas outfit, a Christmas tie, you can get like a little singing Christmas tree. You can wear like a reindeer nose and antlers. You can bring all your Cutco in a red like pillowcase, and you're like Santa bringing all the gifts over, right? Just make it fun, make it exciting.
Something we used to do is wrap our blue book in Christmas wrapping paper.
Oh yeah, wrap your blue book, right? All the gifts are inside, right? Hallie, it's a great idea, right? When you ask for how many, you sell 4 galley sets like you did today. It's exciting. Now, why can't you do that for everybody, right? And then also, talked about package closing and having that belief. So thank you, Vernon. That was really great. And I do want to say, before I open up to some questions, is that you want to take advantage of the mood that everyone's in. They're already buying tons of gifts. It might as well be Cutco. Some of our biggest orders have come on Black Friday. But if customers, your past customers, whether your past customer was earlier today, Hallie, or whether it was 10 years ago, they need to know about Cutco before they think about anything else that they're probably going to get on Black Friday or probably going to look into before Christmas. So as long as they know through that email you send them or that text you send them and that call you give them this weekend, they're going to realize, oh, I didn't think about Cutco. That's a great option. Thank you for calling me. And to give some belief, one of the biggest orders in our office was by Christina Newby 2 years back, who had a double, not one, but 2 Cutco kitchen order on Black Friday to a past customer, 7,900 CPO. If she didn't call and didn't stop by, it wouldn't have happened. So take advantage of the timing. All right, so we have some questions for Vernon on holiday selling and taking advantage of the next couple months here.
I'll give another tip while people are thinking.
Okay.
So just realize you have no idea how much money your customers have. Okay? So a powerful question to ask with confidence is, hey, Mrs. Jones, assuming that price wasn't an option, who is someone or who are some people that you would love to give the gift of Cutco to this year? And just have it listed out. You're going to find one of you will have this. If you do this right, you remember this. One of you will find that sweet old lady that has like 8 grandkids, and she's like, yeah, I'd love the idea of doing that. And all you have to ask is, well, hey, do you mind if I show you what I can do? And would you be open to it if you could afford it? Like, yeah, show me what you got. And someone on here is going to close like a big order of like 5 homemakers or 8 galleys or something like that. It's happened. But it's got to be, you got to be confident in yourself. And you got to ask those questions and just know that you never know how much money a customer has. I can give you multiple examples. I'm sure Jason can give you multiple examples of people that have done that. So that's what I want to say.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Boom. All right. He's got 4 minutes left. Any questions? Any struggles? Any doubts? Okay. Okay.
No questions.
And by the way, those listening to the recording, some of you had the opportunity to ask questions, but it's not live. So bummer. Maybe next time.
Should have been on the call.
Should have been on the call. Well, I guess I do want to wrap up then with, I'm super excited for what we're building for 2020. This is the foundation year of a Northwoods division in 2019. I'm very excited to build from 1.2 mil to 1.5 mil and beyond, doubling offices each year. And really, 2020 is going to happen for all of us because of what we do now, right? So I've been challenging, and I just had a conversation with Josh earlier today about this. And I've been challenging people I know, whether I know them through work or not, that, okay, what are your New Year's resolutions? Who do you want to be in 2020? Well, great. Think you're just going to all of a sudden be that person on January 1st? Nope. Who do you need to be now so you can get it ingrained in who you are for the next 5 weeks? So that way you are your best version of yourself going into 2020 and you're already on the ground running as opposed to waking up on January 1st. And Thanksgiving week, your winter break that starts for many of you, and then the chance to win a trip to Cabo and make $3,000 to $5,000 over in January is there for you. So I'm excited for everyone on the call, everyone who's listening to the call. Everyone wants to go big. The ball's in your court, and we're excited to see what you do with it. So thank you so much, Vernon, Lake, Sydney, and Seth, for your value tonight. And I'll stop recording, and you guys have a great night.